Alright, welcome back to the Road to Wololo for the Red Bull Wololo Legacy Tournament for AoE 4. We're in the August Week 1 games, which were played actually out over the last weekend of July. Sorry to keep mentioning that, but I just find it fucking hella funny. I was worried that there was going to be no games from last weekend to cast. Anyway, we got the big Korean bopper in Leenock here on HRE in the red trunks, and he's up against Artie, our Dutch champion of AoE 3, who's now a really solid AoE 4 player. We're through to the final round of the group stages before our players make it through the top 8 of this qualifier. The winners of that qualifier will go through to another finals to qualify again for the main tournament in Castle Heidelberg for the big bucks. So we'll have to see how they go in their struggle for that. Leenock going for the gold now, empowering his food villages, but empowering his gold villages on the way through. And Artie looking to connect the gold to his main base, because this town center he'll add his next landmark next to and be able to have his golden age, which adds bonus gather and research stats and other such cool shit. House of Wisdom actually connecting up the gold there, because you can use another house to connect up the mill on the berries. Because you've got to think about how fast you can actually hook your exterior mining camps and lumber camps up to the rest of your base to read that sweet gather rate bonus in particular, but the research and production speeds as well in the later ages also quite useful. But give me the gather speed, give me as much of it as you can, and give me it now. Leenock's empowerment really going to offset this well. So the prelate with his funky haircut. Hey, he's rocking the Muslim's haircut. Not quite, they've actually got this band of hair, I think. Unless it's a headband. I don't think it's a sweatband. I don't think they used the cool, you know, Nike or Adidas sweatband back in the 11 to 1400s or whenever this was supposedly set. Arson Chapel now being used as a wood drop-off point, which actually, you know, really increases the longevity of its value on that wood line as well. And you can also use it for fairly safe farms under the cover of your town center. Very handy for HRE players to turtle and push with, or Abbasid. They really get the benefit of a bit of flexibility around turtling, or playing aggressive, or playing very boom and early villager oriented. Going for second and third town centers and whatnot right there and then in the early feudal age, as they do get that fresh foodstuffs upgrade. So Artie switching that low villager over to the food, leaving the rest so he can get fresh foodstuffs. Leenock really wants to harass the hell out of these vills. This means any damage he can do with this harass later on them should pick them off if they're not being healed by a priest unit. Because as the HRE player, he and the Delhi players are the ones that reap the benefit of being able to heal up low villages in the face of scout harass, you know, which is especially handy against French, English, and Rus, because Rus and French have that access to knights, English had access to the extra range on their bowmen, extra damage, so you really want to be careful against those three civs in particular, with low villages, but civs like any other than, well, HRE and Delhi don't really have a means of actually, you know, preventing that without shuffling the village as well, sort of hiding them in the middle of the next group of bills, keeping them close to the town centre if possible. They're going to have stables and range production here for Don Artie, even though he is gathering that stone to go for those town centres. He's going to need a bit more wood and a bit more stone. A bit of production here, helping defend. Or Leenock adding a stables just for now. Wants to just fight horseman v horseman, and Don Artie with a range. Those archers not going to be super useful. Oh, until the barracks goes down, but here we go. Leenock is going to go for one anyway. Don Artie is harassing his vill still. First horseman out for Don Artie to try and poke and prod, and Leenock's scouts now. He was trying to sack that mining camp. Now there's a knight here, horseman, sorry, to do the same against the scout of Don Artie, but Leenock's left the villager to get really low here. 6 health. Even a horseman can charge and one-shot that, let alone a knight. Don Artie bringing up vills because he wants to go for some sort of cheeky tower here. Cut his opponent off from the berries and potentially even gather it himself later on. It looks like Leenock's got the horseman advantage for the moment. Oh, here is a camel archer to back this up. These guys do have the benefit of being able to reduce melee cavalry damage, and it is something that only the two Islamic civs can actually use. So we've got Abbasid dynasty and Delhi being the other. Two South Asian civs, I guess you can call them as well. I didn't know what else to really call them without sort of being inflammatory or anything. So a bit more harass here. Don Artie trying to deny access to Leenock's gold there, because he's really only got access over this other side and outside the comfort of his walls here. But also the army here to try and defend against this tower rush, but Leenock has a lot of villagers to try and take out the tower, so he can use his military to fight all the horsemen now. Leenock has access to man-at-arms as well, but he's mostly just added spears here as well. This tower creep for Don Artie will be repeated once again. So he's going to get access to another camel archer, so that's a wicked amount of damage reduction, even with unit count favouring Leenock. As soon as Don Artie can sort of equalise that with a couple of camel archers and have them a bit of damage, can really turn the tide of the fight. But Leenock is streaming in more spearmen as well, not really giving Don Artie the chance to easily finish up the outpost either, because he isn't going to want to cancel it. He isn't going to let it bleed out too much before he does, if he has to. So he does cancel there. But for now, it looks like Artie's at least denied this berries off Leenock, so Leenock's going to have to expand all the way up here onto the hunt and the berries. We'll start really relying entirely on archon chapel empowered farmers and sheep gatherers, and eventually those sheep will run out. Some nice pressure from Artie. Unless he's added another stables, no armory for him just yet. He's just seemingly cut his camel archer production. He hasn't really got the food to afford it at the moment. 37 vills, 36 for Leenock, so he's dropped one more in the struggle over the towers. Looks like Leenock's really expanding over this side. So if Artie can cut that off, bearing in mind Artie is missing out on the gathering from these three villages, having them build towers and having to upgrade those towers. So Artie having to contend with the fact that Leenock's starting to thin out the towers around this berries. So even if he does get pushed off this top side, which it won't be for a little while as Artie's now coming to defend, he can actually start to try and secure here again. Mining camp nearly done for. Leenock's pretty much written it off now. It does burn down. Pregnant's Cathedral here for Leenock. A bit of a ballsy gambit, but it might pay off, because I mean the alternative is that Burgrave Palace saves him really having to produce any more barracks for the rest of the game, because it acts as 5 in 1. Camel Archer being picked off there. Looks like that outpost is going to fall. Probably not. Smart to leave his spearmen out while Artie having a few of his horsemen get skewered. Artie with a very aggressive forward town centre here. Smart play for him, because it really cuts Leenock off from a lot of these resources. At the same time, Leenock's won control of some of these closer ones once again. Sort of cut off from that gold mine. There is this one down here he can safely hold on to. All he really needs to do is chuck a wall up around here. That's his, for sure. Leenock. Pregnant's Cathedral. He's got 3 pellets, one already on the way to grab a relic, another one. Gonna sneak over this corner as well. Looks like he's going to get picked off. He's actually going to empower these gold gatherers, sorry. Looks like he might get picked off unless he can get back in the chapel. He will do. A couple of villagers picked off there by Artie, but at the same time, Leenock. Possession of 1 relic. If he can pull this cavalry away from here, he might be able to get a hold of another one. Artie's really locked down this one in the center, the one in the corner of the map. Leenock managing to grab another one from this leftish, topish side of the map. Leenock going for a raid on Artie, while Artie tries to take down the tower, but it's connected through the other structures and is going to get the benefit of that emergency repair. So he's going to try and take the fight though. He's got good numbers here, but while there is mostly only spears left, they are great against the horsemen, who aren't able to pick off the relic deposit there. And that's pretty big, because this is now going to hit a lot harder, this tower, with that garrisoned relic in it. Artie's going to have to back off from here. Yeah, now there is bonus damage and armor, even bonus range for this town center. I mean, for this tower, sorry. So Artie is going to kill the villagers because Leenock is a bit bold in leaving them out here. He is going to lose all of them. At the same time, Leenock is raiding Artie's expansion town centre here. Artie also hasn't quite fully garrisoned everything to really reap the benefit, and probably could have gone for another tower here in the centre. So he is going to lose quite a few villagers for this, even though he is killing some of Leenock's at the moment, forcing a lot to garrison. Now Leenock finally forced out of the centre of the map and having a go at Artie's base. Now Artie 53-6 to Leenock's 36-8, so neither player has a particularly large eco at the moment, but Artie, I was going to say he's going to bleed some more villagers, but Leenock's forces there cleaned up. And where does Leenock go from here? He's actually quite a way behind from Artie, aside from having control of the two relics. Less army, less eco at 55-37. There are horsemen for Leenock going for the raid. He is quite well defended here. He does have the age up advantage over his opponent, but doesn't really have much in the way of armory or eco techs at the moment. Leenock is going to get all of his eco tier 1 techs. Artie forced to have to try and fight village of the horsemen, and he's sort of overextending here. He really doesn't want to chase any further than about that. Well, Leenock going to try and control the sacreds. At least the one. Get what little gold he can out of that. Give him all the advantage he can to try and defend what's coming, because Artie an impressive number of horsemen and camel archers at the moment. (40-9) to 56-26. Leenock gathering quite a bit of stone, so he wants to put down a defensive keep somewhere, prevent Artie from continuing to raid and put him further and further behind. Drop a few villages there though, and he didn't deposit before he pulled back for the garrison. So he's still about 50 stone of what he needs for the keep. Here we go. He's going to add it now. He does have the market, so he would have just traded a little bit of gold for it. Deciding that's probably a little bit too greedy, even for Leenock. Bringing it back slightly from about here. This is just outside of the line of sight of Artie. Oh, he's just able to see it from the tower, so Leenock having to cancel, but he does quickly before he loses any of the stone, so he can immediately throw it up somewhere else. It's got nothing to do with your build progress, it's all to do with how much damage your opponent's done to it. Knight v Horseman. This guy's able to clean up a handful of horsemen, so picking off 4 of them now, because he's been fighting them near individually. So that's really cost effective, because he's only worth twice as much as them. But in head-on fights he can fight, you know, up to about 5 or 6 solo. That tower there, really preventing Artie from engaging till he's able to add a couple archers and siege engineering and add some rams now. And now more horsemen falling, as the horsemen for Leenock coming in to assist the knight. Seem to deny a little bit more gathering for Artie here. This is a really impressive push from Artie because he's got so many horsemen here, but it's a rough composition for him to now fight against with knight and vet spear. So he's having to add bowmen to pick off the spears, but GG, he's having to tap out. Leenock sacked a little bit too much.